The Colorado Avalanche matched up with the Nashville Predators over the weekend, and the more things change, the more they stay the same, Mr. Sullivan. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And make sure you're following us over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you're subscribed to a subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below, because when you do, you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion on everything going on Avalanche related, which we share on this wonderful, very podcast right here. All right, if you're watching over on YouTube, you see a rundown. We'll get to the Alex Kerfoot stuff. That is the latest in Avalanche possible trades. So we'll talk about that. Is Valeri Nichushkin returning Tuesday again, or no, Monday, right? That game, that game is today against the Chicago Blackhawks. But where we'll start, Kyle, is kind of what happened over the weekend, and that is we'll kind of, I guess I don't know, just going back over this game, which I have. If you're watching on YouTube, the bullet point there is uninspired. And that's kind of how I watched this game, and there was just no flair there. There's nothing dramatic going on for the Avalanche, and it showed in they lose 5-1 to Nashville. Give me your thoughts on the game overall, and then we'll kind of just talk about specific things here and there.
It aggravates me a little bit that Avalanche fans are conditioned this year to just kind of write it off and say, it's a game on the road. It's kind of what we know. Mm-hmm. No, it shouldn't be an excuse. The Avalanche are 14-14 and 5 on the road. This is the Nashville Predators. They are trying their hardest to get into the playoffs, and the Avalanche let them. It's one of those, you played great against Chicago. You did well against Dallas. This was easy. This is just get the job done.
I don't want to say it was easy, because Nashville's playing great. Nashville is one of the hotter teams in the league, but the way you've been playing over the past, at least this week, you would have liked to see something more than what they presented there. I don't know.
Especially with the effort that the Avalanche put out against the Dallas Stars, Central Division leading Dallas Stars. You're going to have this playoff hungry Nashville team. You're going to give Cody Glass a hat trick. And that collapse in the third period was you mentioned uninspired a couple times. It felt like this Avalanche team, there was nothing to write home about when it came to the effort of this in the Nashville Predator game. And the Avalanche are 0-2 versus Nashville so far this year. This is not.
Yeah. It's remember that first one.
Oh my, how can we forget it?
Yeah, that was horrible.
But this is one of those, we talk about this all the time, especially after an Avalanche loss. You're running out of runway of games that it's okay to lose. On to the next one. No, you're in win now mode all the way. You're still sitting in third in the Central. Third. Winnipeg is still ahead of you.
Which, now you're third in the Central, yes. But with that game, Nashville is
the other gold team.
I think 7 points behind you now. And they're hot.
Yeah.
So, the way that it's just gone for the Avalanche this year is I just hope you get the good Avalanche come playoff time. You know what I mean? Because that's how it is this year, is you genuinely, from game to game, you don't know what you're getting. Your best period was before the All-Star break, and coming out of that, it's been pretty much what it's been all year. Is you honestly don't know what team you're getting from game to game. And like you said, like we were talking about this week, now the last week, this could be a really good week to set up your month. Okay, and you took 2 out of 3. And those 2 games, was Dallas, great win there. Chicago, you're playing them again Monday. You should shut them out again. They shouldn't be in the same arena as you, right? So 2 really good games that you're feeling good about yourself. And if this game, went down to the wire, went to overtime or something like that, you'd be like, okay, it's a loss, but you can pull positives out of it that you played well, another road game, whatever. But to end the week the way that they did, and I give a lot of credit to Nashville for it too, because they played a very, very good game. And they didn't let the Avalanche really do anything. The Avalanche, it was the same thing over and over and over. And Jared Bednar said after the game was over, he thought the first 2 periods were good. And in the third, there was a separation between Nashville and the Avalanche. I thought the first 2 periods were okay. I don't think they were as good as he is saying that they were. They were okay because you were in the game. You didn't lose this game till the third period, which I guess if you want to pull a positive out of it, it's that. But it was just they were doing getting to the neutral zone, dumping the puck in, and then losing a battle, and could not get anything in the net front. And again, credit to Nashville for not allowing that to happen. But I always look at it from the Avalanche perspective of you have the talent on this team to overcome that. And when another team is trying to prevent you from doing things like getting shots at the net front or in a high danger position, the Avalanche have the skill to stop all that and make some switches to start getting what you want, and you be the aggressor and you kind of put your foot forward and be like, no, we're staking our claim, and you can only do that for so long. Nashville did it the entire game.
And the thing I'm getting really tired of right now is giving teams that honestly on paper they're not as talented as the Colorado Avalanche, but I'm tired of giving them credit in just the summary. Like teams like the Devils, like the Coyotes, like the Predators, the teams that the Avalanche are dropping games to, saying, well, they had the Avalanche figured out. And I'm tired of the Avalanche fans saying, well, just wait until insert player name here gets back and this team's going to be rolling. No, there's only so many names you're running out of. You have Nichushkin and Landeskog. You keep waiting on him. You're going to run out of players this team is healthier than last year. Last year, this team was extremely injured, and they managed to have a better output than what this team is that's completely healthy. We're talking about one player, and we're counting down the days for, I can't wait for Nichushkin to come back. I can't wait for Lehkonen to come back, and this team's going to be fine. Zach Parise had 2 goals against the Chicago Blackhawks. You're getting scoring from the depth. You're just not getting it all together. Nathan McKinnon got 101 points against Nashville. That's the only highlight of the game. Because you had it tied after 1. It started pulling away Nashville in the second period. They went into the third up 2-1. And then the Avalanche just they took that time out towards the end of the game. I don't know what they were planning. It was about to be Disney Channel type comeback. I can't wait for that, but it did not happen. You want to see this Avalanche team top to bottom put it all together, and it's not there, and it's starting to get a little concerning.
Well, like I said, like when things, I had a sound check earlier this year. It was a Ben Harper song. So when things are good, they're so good, and when they're wrong, it's gone. And that's what it is. I'm just hoping we get to the playoffs, and that's when the Avs like flip a switch that we haven't seen yet this year. I think there's a lot of people out there thinking like, what makes you think that could happen? I don't know. I really don't. I'm just hoping. Because it's the playoffs, maybe, and you amp it up a little bit. The other teams do that too, though. Other teams amp it up as well. It's not just exclusive to the Avalanche, but you've seen good, you've seen bad from this team all year long. We're in March. It's not going to change. It's the way it's going to be for this year. Like I said, I just am hoping once it gets to the playoffs, it's more of the good Avalanche than the bad, clearly, because you're not going to go far if you get more of the bad.
Well, you're going with this lackadaisical effort that you get spotty throughout. You can have incredible performances against teams like Dallas, but then duds against Nashville. and then you're just lax. It's just on to the next game. Well, eventually, if you look at how Nashville's playing, you can turn around and Colorado is going to be out on the outside looking in. They're going to be looking for like you talk about getting into the playoffs and flipping a switch. There's no runway. There's no on to the next game. It's win now. The playoffs are win now. And honestly, if the Avs continue another week like this against less than superior teams, they're going to be every game is playoff mode to get to the playoffs. You have to get it together, and we're going to talk about players coming back and possible trade targets. You're going to run out of names to add to this team because look at this team on paper. This team should be winning night in and night out.
Well, you mentioned, guys coming back, and is that, we get this guy back. Is that going to be what we need? And obviously, one of those guys is Valeri Nichushkin. We'll talk about him next. But the other thing I want to touch on after the break is you're seeing and hearing a lot of people, at least on the social media world, saying, should Cale Makar take a little bit of a break? So let's dive into that as well, and we'll do that right after this. All right, we got FanDuel, and you can get buckets with your first bet over at FanDuel. That's America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers get a $150 bonus bet with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And you can bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams. Did you see that Celtics game today?
Yeah.
What was the final? I was watching the hockey game, and they were running the score on the bottom. What was the final of that?
I know the Celtics beat them by 52.
52. What's the equivalent in hockey? Is that a 10-0 hockey game?
That's a 10-1 game.
A 10, yeah. 50 point. How is a professional team losing to another team by 50 plus points?
That would be the Golden State Warriors.
Man, I wonder what the spread was on that. It was definitely not 50.5. I can tell you that. But you can bet on that if you wanted to. You can bet on your favorite NBA players and teams with things like quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, before we get to the Cale Makar talk and the Nichushkin talk, we wanted to just, or at least I wanted to, growing up, you saw and watched a lot of what's his name on ESPN? I'm looking up on Mortensen.
Yes.
Yeah, Mortensen on ESPN, who passed away. So we just kind of wanted to just throw that out there because what a reporter for ESPN all throughout the years. And he was one of those guys before all this social media stuff. Like, he was the guy that you would listen to and watch on ESPN. And the information he had was, if you knew he was going to be on screen, it was like, I'm going to pay attention to this because it's meaningful. So it was sad to see that he had passed away.
Yeah, everybody listened to the Mort report, and when he said something, you listened, and he backed up what he said. He didn't waver, and he delivered it in a kind and caring way. There was no malice, and he was not going for celebrity. He was reporting the news.
No. So Chris Mortensen, 72 years old, and he had some health problems growing for a while now. So but yeah, that was a trusted guy that you always looked forward to. So thanks for all the news, Mr. Chris Mortensen. So, all right. Like I said before the break, we talking about Cale Makar. Some people are throwing out there like, oh, the Avs should rest him for a couple, and have him be as well rested as possible for the playoffs. If he is genuinely hurt and nursing something, then fine. But I don't feel that he is. And maybe when the season's over, we'll get one of those things where it's like, yeah, he was nursing this all year long, and they're not saying it now because they don't want to tip off the other team. Could that be like when the season's over, we're gonna look back, and when we get the report on the season, it's like, oh, Cale Makar is going in for surgery because he's been nursing this all year. I don't know if that's the case. Then and it can't do any more damage to whatever is ailing him, then they're going to keep playing him. I don't he gets banged up. The way that he plays, like everybody gets banged up. Nobody's 100%. The Avalanche know. The team knows if he is genuinely ailing from something and if rest would help him. And if they're not resting him, I gotta be on the side of the team to be like, there's no need to. We don't do this in hockey. We don't do this. Guys take days off all through the regular season like the NBA does because you're afraid that they're going to hurt themselves. And this is much more of a sport where you can hurt yourself than the NBA is. I'm sorry, NBA. It just is. I'm not for it. What say you?
I'm gonna take this discussion and I'm gonna raise you one more.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be the conversation that we don't want to have. Cale Makar has had 4 points in 11 games, the last 11 games.
Correct, but he's the last, like, I think he was on a 4-game point streak too. So he's coming out of that. But
before that, this is that's for the number guys. For everybody who loves numbers, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody with eyeballs, we could see Cale Makar. Something is amiss. The passes are weird. His positioning is also weird. He's there, but then he's not. I wonder if the conversation has not been had with Mr. Cale Makar. How are you feeling? It could be something's up. And it's one of those that, yes, something's up. And to fix this, it's not going to take a week or two to repair. This is going to be I'm going to have to repair this. It could be
like
a hip,
surgery thing.
a surgery thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, we're going to ride this until we can't. Hence the Sam Malinsky extra ride that we got. I feel like this conversation has been had, and Cale says, I'm good to go tonight. And he might feel like he's good to go, but you can visually see that's not Cale Makar on the ice. That is a shell of Cale Makar. And I feel like this is being played around, and why there hasn't been a move made really other than the Curtis McDermott trade so far, that they're waiting to see how this goes. To see, I know we need a 2C. The goalie position's been shored up. I think we're okay there.
Yeah.
Do we need another defenseman? Because we are waiting on this. What's going on with Cale? Because I feel like this conversation has been had, and it's every night. Cale Makar says, I think I'm good. And we ride.
It could be something where, they're monitoring him as the year goes on, and they have to go to him every single game and say, like, you good today? He's been good for every game. You know, if they're doing that, he's never said no. And for as far as like the game against the Predators, he did look off, but he took a shot early on in that game. I think it was like right in the hip or something. He took a shot somewhere, so it could have just been lingering from that one play. But I know, like, because of he's not doing his typical Cale Makar stuff for this season, people are kind of looking at it as like, oh, maybe is this bigger than that? I don't know. I like I said, like he took a couple shots in that game, which might have had lingering effects for the rest of that game. I don't know. And it could be something like you're saying, where in the offseason we hear like, oh, Cale Makar's going to have surgery because this was lingering around for the whole season. And if it, like I said, if it's something where rest won't cure him and playing won't make it worse, he's gonna play. He's going to play. So if rest does nothing, if rest does something, they'll rest him. If they say, hey, you rest yourself for a couple weeks, but I don't think the Avalanche want to do that either, because they're in a race now. They don't have anything short. Maybe if they clinch something, hey, take a rest for the last couple weeks of the season, or last week of the season, or the last 2 games of the season. But you're not going to see Cale Makar getting a lot of rest at this stage in the game. You're just not. Unless he needs it and there's an injury. Go ahead.
And I hate to keep bringing the doom part of this, but I'm literally and figuratively wearing the black hat in this conversation.
You are.
Our captain, Gabe Landeskog, he looked super fine during that Stanley Cup final, and we haven't seen him in 2 years.
Right.
And this could be another one of those situations.
Wow, man. Let's not go to that length right now, dude.
I'm just saying, because everyone can see there he doesn't have the burst. His positioning's off. He's managing.
I'm not. I feel like his speed is okay. It's not the flash that you've seen. To me, it's just the puck handling. Like, pucks are just mysteriously just off of his stick out of nowhere. So that's the concerning part for me is that. So
because it tells me something in the mental process is not the handles and skate. It's I have to keep this in mind and then handle. Just keep your eyes on it.
We'll see. Valeri Nichushkin maybe we could get word the day that this podcast comes out on Monday. If he is coming back in his first game back against Chicago. We knew he was not going to make that road trip, and Jared Bednar said he probably might. One of these next couple games will be his first game back. Hopefully it is this game against Chicago. When that happens, like, it's indisputable. It's you look at the record with and without him. It's one of those things where it's just wow. Like you would think that would be the case for any of your big three guys, Makar, Mikko, McKinnon. It's for Val Nichushkin, and it's really not that surprising because of how much he means to this team and what he can bring to it. They are clearly lacking with him not being there. Whether it's this game against Chicago or what's their game after that? We got it up here.
We got Detroit after that.
Detroit, that's right. Yep, Detroit. You think it's one of those two games? Those are the two home games. Your third one is Friday against the Wild. I can't imagine it would go till Friday, but either one, huge boost for this team right when they need it.
No, he is absolutely needed, and this is probably where we say goodbye to Chris Wagner for a little while. Yeah, but although he has looked good, I've been kind of surprised.
He hit the bar. He hit the bar coming down the right hand side. That was a pretty nice play.
And he's gritty, but again, we have spoken many times about Val Nichushkin being a 5-tool player. He could do it all, and honestly, when nobody's doing anything at all, a 5-tool player sure would be nice. So, and he's a battery. The team loves him. And like you mentioned, the record shows that Val is a vital piece of this roster. Huge. And it's another wave. It's another punch. When the top line's not doing it, Val will contribute on whatever line he's sitting on. So whenever he comes back, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Detroit, again, I doubt it's going to last all the way to the Minnesota game. He's needed. And we are going to welcome him back with open arms.
It's just one of those things where when you get him in the lineup, it's so tough for the opposition because you're not going to have off games by all of those guys that the Avalanche now have when he's in there. You know what I mean? You're not going to have if you have an off game from Mikko Rantanen, then that's the one guy. You still have all of the list of guys, and now you add Nichushkin to that list of guys that you have to deal with. It's not a one-man show. You know what I mean? So if McKinnon has an off night, if Mikko has an off night, then you just, that's the one guy of, here's the list: Makar, McKinnon, Rantanen, now you got Nichushkin in there, Lehkonen, and the list just now your list is getting,
it's an all-star roster again.
Yeah. So that's just what he brings. So we'll find out probably as you're listening to this sometime during the day on Monday if he'll be back for the Monday night game against Chicago. Could a reunion of sorts be in the cards for the Avalanche and a former Av returning by the name of Alex Kerfoot? We will discuss that after this. Let's hear from GameTime and the GameTime app. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. GameTime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seats, and their best price guarantee. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Some of the things that we love about GameTime, like we said, the view from your seats within the app, the way it's incorporated into the app is just seamless. It's beautiful. You don't have to click a bunch of different areas to go into that section. It's just right there as you're scrolling. It's almost like a social media page. It's beautiful. And we're coming up on springtime, Kyle. It's, we said it before, a lot of concerts and shows are being announced. Go over to GameTime and scoop up those tickets. So download the GameTime app today, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right. Adrian Dater was out there. He doesn't do a ton on social media anymore, which I think he's just getting tired of it. But he's been following the Avs since day one. So he put up on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, that he's hearing things that the Avalanche are interested in bringing back Alex Kerfoot, who currently is playing with the Arizona Coyotes. And if you remember, Kerfoot played a couple seasons with the Avs years ago, included in that deal that sent Tyson Barrie to Toronto to bring in Nazem Kadri. And Kerfoot has since signed with Arizona. And then this last offseason when he signed with Arizona, 2-year deal with them. We did shows about, in the offseason about free agents. Kerfoot was a guy that I wanted them to bring in. I thought he's that Swiss Army knife that we always talk about. He's that. He does a lot. Do I think he doesn't solve a problem though? Is where I think he could be good on this team. I really do, but I don't think when I wanted him, it was for depth. It was kind of like that middle 6 to bottom 6. But I really hope if they bring him in, it's not to go shore up what has been lacking in the 2C. I hope it's not that, because that's not what he's there for. I think he could be good if they want to go after him, but I just question what the use of him is going to be.
Oh, Chris, you beautiful, beautiful man. I'm so glad that you feel this way, because I too saw these rumors and saw Dater saying this, and I said, an Avalanche reunion, I can't wait. And I go to look and I see it's Kerfoot, and I say, nope, no, thank you, not right now. We have a Zach Parise. We have, honestly, Rijo, he's there. But I mean, come on, let's be real here. I know everybody loves Kerfoot, and everybody's like, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. It'd be great to have him back. To quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's not the 2C you're looking for. He's a 3C. He's he's
Yeah.
he's a 3C, maybe a 4C.
But he's not even really a genuine center. He does everything. He plays wing a lot. He does play center. He is pretty good on the penalty kill. If you need him as a second pairing power play, you could put him there if you wanted to. I like him. I genuinely like him, and I think he could be really good on this team. But I really hope they're not. This is not the trade. You say this is not the 2C we're looking for. I hope this is not the trade we're looking for.
Exactly.
Because he can do good, but if you're getting him with the expectation of we hope he can solve those problems. I don't know.
This is like when I talk to my 12-year-old son and my 10-year-old daughter when we're in the store. I'm like, do you want this or do you need this? Because the Avalanche really, it's nice. We all like Kerfoot. We all have fond memories. Hindsight's 2020. Yeah. Same thing if they wave JT Compher out there. Everybody's like, oh, I love JT Compher. Or Evan Rodriguez. Oh, please. Oh, all these former names. Because, this, especially after this Nashville game, bring back anybody. Nick Holden, bring him out of retirement, please. Any former Av right now, please. But honestly, if the Avs want to look at this team and say, you know what? The caliber of this team, top to bottom, is exactly, this is what we want, and it's just not performing. Go out there, make your move, trade Rijo. You have, with the McDermott trade, you have some more cap money. Swing for the fences and see what Calgary's going to do for. Go get Nas if you want a reunion.
No, they're not trading him. There's way too much term on that for them to trade him.
But the thing is, you can't swing for the fences and feel like this is exactly what you want to do. This Avalanche team is set. If you're going to make your moves, you get rid of McDermott. You already got rid of Tatar towards the beginning of the year. And then you go get Kerfoot, dust off your hands and say, this is my 2023-2024 Colorado Avalanche. Go get the playoffs. It's not enough.
The other part of this is it would make sense. He fits what the Avalanche like to do on the ice, and he's got another year left. So the Avalanche don't like bringing in these rental guys, and he's an unrestricted after next year. So they don't like bringing in these rental guys, no matter where they go in the roster, right? So it would make sense that they would want, because they do have an extra year with him. I'm not completely sold Arizona even wants to trade him.
Yeah.
because I feel like Arizona likes him. They just brought him in for 2 years. He wanted 3. They gave him 2. He's getting 3.5 AAV. It's a pretty good deal for him. And Arizona, up until recently, has just completely fallen off. So I think Arizona might look at this and be like, okay, yeah, we are going to be selling, and there's going to be guys that maybe with expiring contracts that we can get rid of. What is Arizona? Arizona cannot keep doing this every single year. They have tons of draft picks, tons of them. They don't need any more. So I'm not completely sold that they will get rid of a couple guys because they're in that position. Other teams have needs that they'll turn to Arizona for, and Arizona say, sure, give us a guy, maybe a young prospect or something, and maybe we can use him in another year or two. But Kerfoot's not that he's doing well for them. So I'm not completely sold that they're just going to give up on everything and throw all these guys out like they typically do. They were into this thing up until a couple weeks ago. So I think they hang on to most of these guys, reset in the offseason and make another push next year. I think Kerfoot could be a part of that. I really do. So I'm not 100% sold that they really want to get rid of him.
Yeah, Arizona, why would you? It's something that's working.
Yeah.
Something to build around, at least for another year. Like, come on, Colorado, go get Lars Eller. Go get Matt Nieto. Like, what are you doing? Like, honestly,
the old, circle the wagons again. Yeah.
Like Lars Eller's having him a year. Why not go get him again? And like, I don't like, it's nice. It's Kerfoot. It's bring it back. But also keep in mind, the Avalanche moved on from him at one point. So they gave up at one point.
Well, yeah, I mean they did, and it turned out to be a great move for them. You know what I mean? And he was young. He only had a couple seasons and pretty good seasons with them. So if they go get him, I'll be okay with it. If that's all they do, I won't be.
I won't be either.
I'll put it that way. All right. Fire away in the comment section and let us know what you think. We'll get to some subtext stuff tomorrow on some of our subtexters saying adios to Curtis McDermott. So we want to read those tomorrow, but we'll be, what's that?
We'll have a tribute episode.
It'll be longer than any of his shifts. I'll say that.
We'll do exactly 8 minutes.
Yeah, that'll be double his time on ice. All right, we'll be back tomorrow to talk about this game against the Blackhawks and anything else that goes on in Avalanche Nation. So thank you for tuning in, making your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.